be okay.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Sunbury City Council meeting. It's February 5th, 2025, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mayor, here, Mr. Ghost,
Here.
Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Here.
Present, we have quorum.
All right, the first item on the agenda is a public hearing related to Local Provision LLC Planned Commercial District. I'm just going to look to staff. Would you recommend we still proceed at this point? Okay. So with that said, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. In an ideal situation, we would have we would enter exhibits, swear in anyone that needed to. We would have the applicant present, open it up for public comment, pass it to staff for their comment, and then come back to council for questions and answers. At this point, I will hand it to staff related to the formality of swearing in anybody who wishes to speak and entering exhibits. Mr. Breen?
So anybody that's here tonight that will be speaking on behalf of the public hearing, Local Provision LLC, it's an amendment to their planned commercial district development plan. This doesn't require you to speak, but anybody that thinks they might or is considering or is going to, please stand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony will present is the truth, whole truth, nothing but
I do. I'd like to introduce into evidence some exhibits. We've got as Exhibit A, the modification application dated December 23rd, 2024 from the applicant with all the enclosures consisting of 8 pages. We've got Exhibit B, which is the staff report dated December 19th, consisting of 5 pages, and the public notice and the proof of publication consisting of 2 pages. Without objection, those will be entered into the hearing as exhibits.
Great, thank you. We accept. All right, does the applicant have anything that they would like to present this evening? No comment? Thank you. We're going to open it up to the public for their comment. No comment? Thank you. All right, we'll open it up to staff. Is there anything you would like to highlight from the staff report?
Yeah, I apologize that the applicant isn't here. Not sure about that, but we'll make sure we get him to the next council meeting to address any issues there. I'll just give you a very brief then overview of what the request is. In packet page or on packet page 33, it gives you a sub-area plan for Sunbury Commerce Park. The subject of this particular request is to amend the development plan for sub-area A. So that's at the intersection of West Granville Street and Sunbury Meadows Drive. So the applicant is requesting just a few variances a few changes from the original plan. The area was originally approved to have commercial, restaurant, retail, and office space located on that corner that I just talked about. With this amendment, the applicant is requesting to change the use from the original plan, which had office space located in the southern property building, and is proposing a different use, a restaurant use for that purpose. A couple of other things is in the staff report, it talks about a layout, and most of this is regarding the layout of the building to the southern edge of the property, essentially shifting that property to the west. So it would be more centrally located on the site. It would create more green space to the east. It would open up access to the connection to the Fallen Heroes Trail over there that the city has purchased. The other thing is it makes a few adjustments in the parking spaces. It reconfigures the parking, but there's also a request to reduce the number of parking spaces from 242, which was originally approved, to 194 spaces. But the applicant is also reducing the size of the buildings on the site, reducing it from 39,650 square feet to 32,244 square feet. So a reduction in the size of the building, a corresponding reduction in the number of parking spaces. Like I said, a change in use. The original plan basically had designated each of the buildings on this sub area for a specific use. The request is basically to allow all of those uses in any of the buildings. And again, the southern building would have a restaurant attached to it. I did include in your packet an exhibit, an illustration, a rendering, I guess, of what this space might look like. And that may be kind of the key pieces.
Would like to go ahead and mark the page 33 that Administrator Hennessy testified to as Exhibit D that shows sub areas, and we'll put that as, again, an exhibit in the public hearing.
Thank you. We accept. Okay. Is there any other comment from staff? All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to City Council for any comments or questions.
Like it.
Thank you. All right, this is on for first reading. Ordinance number 2025.10. With that said, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you. Sarah. Our next item on the agenda are the minutes from January 29th. We met just one short week ago, and we're looking for a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Martin.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gose. Discussion?
Yes, under resolution 2025.03, it says that the resolution, it was seconded, I made the motion, Mrs. Dreyer seconded it, and it just says passed, and it has a minus sign and a zero.
Oh, I see.
We need a 7 in there.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Are there any other edits? Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Gose,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer. Yes. Mr. Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we are on to the visitor section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak with City Council? All right, thank you. We are on to committee reports. Mr. Gose?
Yes, earlier this evening, we did have our monthly parks meeting and couple of interesting tidbits of information here. We talked about the Kinslow disc golf signs, the replacement of the signage over there. I think you all have probably seen them. If not, I have it in here in the packet, the renderings, if you want to see them. We did approve those. So that'll be nice. And then we talked about, of course, J.R. Smith, the design contract with CT. $315,000 for design and engineering. Our engineering team did review that for fairness and reasonableness, and determined that was about 8 or 9% of the overall project, which was right where it should be. So looks like a good number. I think the first reading might be this evening on that approval. Eagle Adventure Camp, again, I think this is the 4th or 5th year for that. 3rd. Okay. And that takes place over at Rosecrans, right?
Yeah.
GRE, yeah. And no issues there. Same thing, it's been there before. So looking forward to that. I think that's April, right?
It'll start in June and go for 3 weeks and then go for 3 weeks in July.
Okay, Kinslow Disc Golf Events, April, isn't it? That's the next and last item. So that's called the Lighted Up Kinslow Disc Golf Event, and that's scheduled for April. And we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so that's the one at the last meeting. We did a resolution to allow somebody to be in the park after hours. So this is just closing the loop with the Parks Committee just to make sure that they're aware of the event.
Mr. Gose?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martin. New report. Mrs. Cooper.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Capel.
Yes, we had our services committee meeting earlier this evening. As usual, it was jam-packed with content. So first up, it's that season again when we get into talking about electric aggregation. So the folks from Scioto Energy were here to discuss what the current bids are and what's available to us as far as aggregation contracts. Just as a point of reference, they showed what the previous 2 years rates were compared to AEP. And it's estimated that the average participant in the program over the last 2 years saved $434 as a result of being in the aggregation program. This is coming to council in our next council meeting. But they're going to advise a 12-month contract this time due to some uncertainty with what are called capacity fees, basically. So more to come on that in the next council meeting, but it's that time again. We talked about the Safe Streets for All project group that's been meeting now. I think we're about 40% done with the overall project. The big takeaway there is the survey that we've been advertising for that group is still live for a couple days or
Mid-February. So
mid-February. So definitely want to encourage everybody to take part in that survey. We are trying to expand the reach of that survey as well by reaching out to the schools. We got an email, I think everybody on council did, from a concerned resident regarding Otis Street parking. We are looking into that. The police are researching if they have a concern with it. But as it was reported as a safety concern with children getting on and off school buses, it's going to be something that we're paying attention to, and there'll be more to come on that. It's that season again. Trash hauling contract is also coming due. So bids are being opened on the 14th. That's a heck of a way to spend Valentine's Day. They'll be bringing a recommendation back to probably a finance committee meeting at the end of the month so that we have time to get it done before the contract, which ends on March 31st. Then finally, updates on the wastewater treatment plant. Of course, last meeting, we voted to award the contract to Simonson. So basically, there's a lot of document gathering going on to be ready for the finalization of the contract loan meeting. And then we're scheduling a value engineering meeting, which is a new term I had never heard of before tonight, I think, to see where we can potentially save money on that project. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Capel. Mr. Grumney. All right, Mr. Strayer.
We got two things after attending the Delaware Regional Planning Commission meeting on January 30th. Just two items. I picked the developments that are closest to us, that are most interesting to us since they're close by. The first one is Plum Creek. That is a single-family planned residential development. It will be on 87.7 acres with 91 lots. It is at the north side of Plum Road and just south of Dustin Road. It's currently vacant. It is planned residential as of April 2024. It is Big Walnut Schools, Delco Water, 2 phases. The first one is 47 units. The second one is 44 units. And that did get approved. And the other one is the Van Drome family at 16971 Meredith State Road in Sunbury. Meredith State Road and County Line Road, they are splitting a 6-acre tract. And what they want to do is have 2 residential homes there for their family. So that got approved. Yeah.
Thank you. The Plum Creek, is that the one, is that Highland Real Estate? Is that who's doing that?
I don't think it's Highland.
Wasn't the one that got voted down by referendum in Berkshire Township?
It is Berkshire Township. I don't think it got voted down. This one got approved. I don't.
There was a lawsuit
Check on it.
and then they overturned that result. I think this is that one. There was 1 acre lots on Plum Road.
I will find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That sounds right. You
Yeah.
mentioned, let's see, 91 homes on
89
89
acres.
acres.
Yeah, that was it.
87
Yeah.
acres, 91 homes.
Thank you very much. All right. I have no committee reports. Police report.
I'm gonna turn this over to Deputy Chief.
Take a straw. We'd like to have everyone come up.
Draw a straw.
You can
Speaking,
sit out there and you guys come up here.
speaking candidates out there.
Hey, Mayor. This is what you're about to hear from our officers. It's like a year in review. Instead of us sitting up here talking about it, we figured it was best suited for our officers that are out and have their finger on the pulse to bring the information to you. In your packets is the actual reports they prepared. They will speak individually. I'll introduce them. And I'm just going to give an overview, not going each report in detail. Questions at the end by panel. And one of the areas that's not represented in here is our admin, which is Kathy Hickson, Casey Newsom. Their records retention, public records requests, mayor's court process, public information, like social media, property room, probation programs, our diversion programs, and then keeping track of us. So they have a full plate, they wear many hats, and as we grow, that'll obviously be handed out the hats going to other individuals. One of the other things that I wanted to bring up here is, and in the report also, Casey Newsom had included the diversion programs. So the one way that mayor's court is the success of our diversion programs, the LAP program, PSP, BPP, as well as the probation. So when the officer come up here and speak, you see Officer Whiteside and Officer Ramirez are in wear test for our new patrol uniform. The uniform that I have is more of a Class A. When Sergeant Beecham comes up, you'll see the patrol uniform that they've been in for a few years. So we can answer more questions about that later, but that is what you're going to be looking at with these two. With the patrol uniform that we're going to, the only difference with the coyote pants, that would be black pants to match the black shirts. So first and foremost is patrol. So patrol is the nucleus of what we do. They're dedicated to service 24/7, 365. And I'm going to bring up our senior sergeant, Chris Meacham, to discuss the 2024 review for patrol.
The packets you all should have received have an insight on what has been going on as far as call volume. Some of the calls in nature we've had have been more of a serious in nature. Also the staffing and whatnot. I'd like to thank Sergeant Holder for assisting me in putting together the packet that you all have. Currently, Division of Patrol under Police Department has 11 full-time officers, 3 of those being sergeants. 2024, we transitioned to 10-hour shifts. As you can see the numbers, we were able to actually decrease our overtime in patrol by 7.8 hours. The exceptional thing about this, we were able to do this with having 4 officers throughout the year, all from extended medical leave. 2 of them being off for pretty much half the year. So we increase overtime, having that many officers off. It's amazing. Some of the calls we've had, kind of give you all a stat sheet. I know it's kind of hard to decipher, so I broke it down a little bit. Traffic stops, we all know the traffic stops is a big thing. Especially for you all who are on that, I'm sure quite often very constituents. Speeding complaints, parking complaints, whatnot. 2024, we had 1,235 traffic stops. This was compared to the year 2023, where we had 1,033 traffic stops. So we increased our stops by 202. Citation wise, 2024, 267 traffic citations were written compared to 230 in 2023. Biggest thing for us as patrol officers, despite what some might think, writing tickets isn't just for profit. The biggest thing we write traffic citations for is to prevent accidents. And we accomplished that goal, as you'll see, from 140 accidents in 2023, that number decreased to 127 accidents in 2024. So that's the biggest accomplishment we have as far as the issuance of traffic citations is the decrease in the number of traffic accidents. Some of the, I guess you can call it more interesting calls we had this past year. I kind of gave a brief, quick synopsis of them. I'm not going to go into all of them. We'll get here. One of the ones I want to point out is the July 4th incident that we had. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with what occurred that day.
Yes.
Could have turned out to be a really serious situation. Joe Township, basically, I'll give a quick rundown. They were trying to stop a impaired driver who was all over the road and has been driving on the wrong side of the roadway. That individual was going to come to Sunbury on Old Greasy. This is right as the fire exit ended, people walking everywhere. We were able to intercept this individual. Officer Bowman was able to divert him and Galena. Myself and Officer Bowman were able to take the individual into custody after a brief pursuit. The individual was highly impaired. I don't want to think about what would occur if he was able to make it to Sunbury. So I want to thank Officer Bowman and also General Township for their involvement in that incident. The same individual also was arrested a short time later after fleeing from us in a stolen vehicle. A lot of these pursuits that we have, many factors are taken into consideration. Obviously, it's a very serious part of our job. It's a danger to the public. However, there are times when we have to do what we have to do, basically. Many of the officers involved work night shift. Officer Bowman, Officer Ramirez, Officer Wallbach, Officer Collins, myself. Which is one of the factors, you know, these are early morning hour incidents, most of them. So not much public out. You know, most of these are stolen vehicles we dealt with. As I'm sure you all are aware, most of them are teenagers that are in these stolen vehicles. So we take into consideration all those elements at the time of the incident, traffic, safety of the public. 2024, as Deputy Chief Wade stated, Officer Casey Newsom and our administrative assistant Kathy Dixon, they are instrumental in organizing these community engagement events. You know, we're not just here to issue tickets or, you know, arrest people. We take pride in our community engagement with the public, with the community. One of the big things we've done for the past few years now is an annual Train Cruiser. Kroger provides food donation for Big Walnut Prince to share and the Vineyard Church to stock their food pantry. We did a couple of blood drives this year as well. So those are things we enjoy. It lets us interact with the public in a positive light rather than, you know, anytime the law enforcement is usually called, it's somebody's having a bad day. So those are events we really enjoy. And Officer Newsom also has spent several hours. She's on the Safety Community Coalition program she participates in. She's done that. Detective Smith has had many events where he's met with Girl Scouts, pointed them the dangers of internet, social media, things of that nature. So, as we all know, Sunbury is rapidly growing. So with that, you know, there's gonna be an increase in crime that comes along with the territory. Our goal as a patrol division in the Sunbury Police Department is to reduce that crime. We know we're not going to completely eliminate it, however, being out in the neighborhoods, subdivisions, especially in our construction, being visible, especially at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, is something that we will continue to provide to the citizens, something that we will continue to do. Obviously, we're going to need staffing in the future to accomplish that goal. I think we're all aware of that. However, I feel like you've got some good officers that are doing a great job, and we look forward to build on that and continue providing that. To the public.
Chief Sergeant.
I think Sergeant Newton, you know, when you think of the patrol officer that's out there 24/7, 365, there's no, you gotta do that. You gotta do that. And this crew is definitely dedicated. There's so many highlights of different things that they do in engaging with kids and saving lives. It's unbelievable. So without further ado, we will bring up SRO Whiteside to give you an overview from our SRO program.
Thank you, DC Wade. Council, Mayor. All right, so in the packet, you'll see the SRO sheet that I did. Going back to 23-24, there's 7 schools inside of Sunbury city limits. Sunbury has 4 of those schools, which are the middle school, the intermediate school, Big One Elementary, and General Rosecrans Elementary. During the 23-24 school years, I covered all 4 of those schools, with the middle school being my home school. During that time, I had about 113 log entries. Those log entries is something that I keep separate from, if it's something I don't have to tie up the air with dispatching it, I'll put it in my spreadsheet. Those could be traffic issues, parking issues, anything to the things that I handle inside the schools, students being unruly, meetings. I also completed 40 hours of classroom lessons. Those lessons entail explaining my duty here to kids in the elementary school level, internet safety to intermediate school, middle school level kids, Halloween safety to the elementaries and intermediate school. And then I did the drug class and the wellness in the middle school. Moving on to the 24-25 school year. Having an extra SRO inside the schools has been amazing. Officer Melcher has done a great job at the intermediate school and General Rosecrans Elementary. Her and I run ideas off of each other all the time of what can we do to make the SRO program better. As of this date, I have 112 log entries. I have taught Halloween safety to K-3. I have more teaching to come. I know I'm getting ready to schedule internet safety for the middle school. Officer Melcher has 50 log entries at her 2 schools. She has taught Halloween safety to K-5, and she has more teaching to that she's gonna do. So positive things with the SRO program. Being able to see these kids out in the community when we're assigned back on patrol. Stop and play basketball with them. They know who we are as SROs. Normally with juvenile calls, myself or Officer Belcher will handle those that we're assigned to the road just because we have a good rapport with these kids. We get to help educate the youth with doing all the training lessons, their classroom lessons that we do with them. And engage in fun activities. I know a lot of the guys make fun of me because I was there playing dodgeball with the kids dodgeball with the kids in gym or play basketball. I didn't lose. It's fun. I mean, it's a great spot to be. Some challenges that we have is not enough time in the day to do what we want to do. We want to do more classroom lessons. just wanted to hang around these kids with, helping them with things they need. So our future goals for the SRO program is for Sunbury to be inside of the 7 schools that are inside our city limits. Assist city with traffic goals. That's one thing that we're gonna get ready to present here, with like adding crosswalks, having more traffic flashers for school zones. Another thing we'd like to do is Officer Belcher and I have talked about is starting a Sunbury safety town. That's really kind of all I have for this SRO program. Do you have any questions for me? All right, at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Thank you, SRO Whiteside.
In all sincerity, obviously, the SRO program has an ambassador in the police department who are youth. And that is not overstated by any means. Officer Ramirez, who is our project coordinator for our drone team, will bring me up to speed on where our drone programs are.
All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick overview of the drone program from the last year, from February 1st of last year to January 29th of this year. In that 1 year span, we had 33 call outs with our M30 thermal drone. And we had 3 call outs with our Avata, which is an interior drone. But there was 33 call outs with the M30, we had 3 life savings. With that, we had myself and Sergeant Meacham located the dementia female in February of last year. Then myself and Officer Plummer located one of the male subjects that was capsized in the reservoir down in Galena. And then Officer Ebright, this actually in January of this year, him and Officer Fields located a subject that just tried to hang himself, and he ran from the residence, and we were able to locate him and find him and get him the help he needed. With the drone, obviously we were able to use it on calls like that, but we're also use it for like July 4th. We can put it up, make sure nobody has any unauthorized fireworks in the area where we had our fireworks to prevent any kind of fires, explosions, or anything with that. We use it for sizzle and sound, the solar eclipse, and also the 2024 State of the City for security. Our future programs, or our future goals, expansions with the drone, we're looking to this year in 2025 add on 2 extra additional pilots. We're looking to try to secure funding for a second Avata interior drone. The reason for that is whenever you go inside, sometimes you have thicker walls and you can lose service and the drone can crash. So having a second one available to send in is crucial, especially if you have officers inside that are dependent on it. Then also for in years to come, not in 2025, but in years to come, we want to try to expand and get a second M30 thermal drone, or depending at the time we get one, see what is available at that time to progress with our drone program. Then a thing that we just recently got approval with the fire department is the drone is now capable of providing water rescue, ice water rescue, and swift water rescue. So with that, we have a drop kit that attaches to the bottom of the drone with a 20-foot lanyard, and it has a device on the bottom of it where we're able to fly it over ice into water, swift water. We're able to get it to the subject out in the water and drop it, and it's tethered to a rope that is on shore so they can pull that subject in. Wow! So that is the capabilities now with our drone. And as of right now, at least for the only agency, Delaware County, possibly the surrounding counties that have that capability. And just to give you an idea, right now with the 4 pilots, all 4 pilots combined, you have a total of 42 hours of flight time with 234 flights in general. And just to give you an idea, whenever a drone goes up, it doesn't just go up and hover. Of those 42 hours and all those flights, it's a total of 259 miles that we've covered with the drone. And just to give you an idea, I had a call out in right there at the intersection of Joe Walker and Baines Valley. And I was able to deploy Art Brokers, fly over there, help county assist their situation, locate juveniles that ran from them, and fly back to Kroger's in their jurisdiction.
Wow, that's a pretty significant range. What is the range? Is that near the maximum?
It'll go farther, but as far as for visual sight, you have to stay within visual sight.
Wow.
So as long as there's no tree canopies or anything, you can fly for a long ways and still stay within visual sight.
Several miles then.
Yes.
Hmm.
Do we have any questions?
Save it for the
And again, all in sincerity, the drone team, we have pretty much, leaned into these guys and said, think outside the box, we'll save lives. The support of the community has been tremendous on this, the support of the council has been tremendous in this. That gives us the latitude to go out here and experiment with these things that save lives. That's the intent. And then we will close out. Detective Smith will be giving you an overview for our investigations.
Good evening.
evening.
So I'm Detective Smith. The city of Sunbury has two detectives, if you're not aware, Detective Castro and myself. We have two areas that we're assigned to. I'm the general detective, and Detective Castrilla is part of the Delaware County Drug Task Force. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a multi-jurisdictional drug task force, which is made up and comprised of, it's open to all law enforcement agencies in the county. Even like Westerville, Dublin, maybe some smaller ones that just have a barely touch the county. There they investigate all types of drug investigations, from street drugs to prescription drug for like drug pads and fake scripts. We've investigated doctors who write scripts to not give to their patients, but use the drugs themselves, to overdoses, things like that. The way they get intel from our patrol division, from tips, from tip lines to various sources of information, and we investigate those. Due to the clandestine part of how they conduct their investigations, can't really get into how they do some of it. I'll speak here a little bit about general investigations and stuff. It's not a state secret that they use to investigate. But their main job, and her main job, is to investigate those leads, have a strong deterrence in the community. Drugs in Sunbury, we don't want them, take them elsewhere. Building cases for prosecution and asset forfeiture. There's a lot of cash or assets, houses, whatever, to seize those if they were drug profits. So that's the drug task force side of things. As a general detective, I do all crimes. Most of them are felony level crimes. However, there's a few misdemeanor crimes that I'll investigate, or patrol needs assistance in something. If they're investigating and they kind of hit a roadblock with something, or they don't have time or education to investigate it, they'll kick it over to me to look into it. I'll investigate anything from suspicious deaths, shootings, burglaries, home break-ins, felonious assault, sexual assault, ICAC cases, which is the internet crimes against children. We get reports of those for people using online for child pornography. Children's services referrals for abuse and neglect of children. Auto theft, fraud is a big one currently. We're seeing an uptick in fraud in the community, whether it's scams from phishing from emails to businesses. We've had a few of those, to sextortion cases, where we've had several of those in the last year, and other scams of mailing money through the mail or buying gift cards, things like that. So recent notable cases, you know, you have the handout that, has a lot of the, highlights of what the drug unit and, I do, but I just want to touch on one, that way I can kind of break down a little bit more about what the Protective Bureau does. In August 2023, we had a swatting case here of the town hall, and it shut down the community for several hours, and it was a real threat, saying, you know, hey, there's bombs, but an active shooter type situation. And we take that pretty seriously. So after the conclusion that was turned to be a swatting incident, we started conducting an investigation, and the way we do that is we have to compile and break down any piece of evidence in any case. We'll use this case as an example. We're going to send out subpoenas. In a subpoena process, we have to draft those subpoenas, send them to the court, have them clerked, get them back, and then issue them to whoever we're going to issue that subpoena to. Search warrants, we have to draft those search warrants. And we can ask for anything can be searched, whether it's social media accounts, emails, phone numbers, IP addresses, device IDs, searching of homes. You know, we have to be educated in the facets of each item of how they work and what we want to search within those. We work with other agencies in interviewing state, federal agencies, talking with witnesses, recovering video evidence. Anything that has to do with that case, we have to compile it, record it, keep it, and then report about it so it can be presented to a prosecutor later for hold these people accountable. The prosecution should go that far. Search warrants are a legal infringement. They're constitutional Fourth right. So we have to be careful that we hit each step appropriately, not to infringe upon whoever's rights that we're looking into. So we have to be educated, and in doing so, Detective Castro and myself, and you know, Patrol Division as well, we're always taking classes. There's always a bad guy doing something new, whether it's, you know, with drugs. How are they hauling drugs? How are they, what are they doing with the money that they're getting? Are they, you know, putting it in suitcases and shipping across the border, or are they using Cash App or cryptocurrency? We have to understand how those facets work, as well as the technology that comes out. There's always a new app that comes out, you know, on how to talk from encryption to encryption from end to end. And if you do a search warrant on, you can't get the content of what was said. You know, and once they take the other app, and there's several apps that are like that, or how people try to spoof different phone numbers, IP addresses, things like that, and trying to unmask these criminals and hold them accountable. So there's a lot of man hours behind the computer drafting these items, going through it. But it's not just, you know, drafting a search warrant can take a long time. It has to be precise. But when that comes back, we have man hours of the production of reviewing it. Give you an example. Last month I had sent out several subpoenas on a scam case and search warrant. One search warrant that I requested, 2 IMEIs, which are the numbers that are associated with cell phones, specific devices that can't change, resulted in 100 files being emailed back to me. 60 of those were phone numbers and CDRs. So basically, we had 2 phones that had all these fake phone numbers attached to them. And each phone number had totals. So we have to go through all that and try to figure out, hey, where are we going with this? How are they using this as a scam? And, you know, what can we do? Is it just garbage, or, you know, is there actual evidence here? And we were able to determine by looking at it that they all called one single number, every single line. And that came for investigation, so I can't really comment further on it, but the time that the production results is a lot of time behind the desk and computer going through drafting and reviewing that evidence. Again, keeping up on technology, the bad guys are always trying to get one over on us, and we gotta stay sharp. In regards to our goals, we do community outreach, with detective work. I've been asked several times to assist Girl Scouts in getting their CSI badge, crime scene investigation, or their computer safety classes, things like that. I've been asked to help in middle school and how statistics, we use statistics to identify crimes before they happen, or maybe I also talk about how, speed, we can determine what hours that speeders are coming through in a particular area at any given time, so we know when to do enforcement, things like that. Goals, educate our outreach, reference scams, whether it's through social media, having meetings, but identify our targets that are being scammed and getting that information out to them so they're more aware of the types of scams, because they're always something, try and get through your social media, your telephone, to reach you, to scam you out of your money. We'd like to train, control the search warrants, meaning efficiency. Again, we don't want to violate anybody's constitutional rights, and search warrants aren't something that's covered in depth in general police academy. It's covered, but being comfortable with it and fluent with it is not something a typical patrol officer does. They don't do it every day. So we would like to. We started a database and of draft search warrants that they can access, and we'll continue to educate them, be proficient. Like to do a patrol refresher, an evidence collection. Again, it's something they don't do every day, but to be able to process stolen vehicles and minor crime scenes where a detective would need to be called out, that they could handle on soon with some minor equipment, and update some of our crime scene equipment as we process a lot of our own scenes, particularly our camera, and getting some more equipment to better show those scenes and photograph. That's what I have for you today. I know there's a lot more that I could discuss about the cases and how we work them, but I promised that Detective Castro and I are out doing the best job we can to keep the city safe. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Detective.
Investigations are about. By the way, some of people over. So listen, the investigation's not to speak lightly with the Delaware County Drug Task Force. I come from there with 17 years of experience. It's an asset to us. It's a force multiplier when it comes to if we have a major investigation or something that we need with technology. They're there to help us. So that is an investment. I want to thank these guys. I appreciate it. Them taking the time to put a little effort in this and some ownership in what we do. Thank you for your time. And if there's any questions that are here by panel, they can answer them.
Any questions for sergeants?
I don't have any questions, but I wanted to make a statement, step up on the box for a second, because we're in the middle of all this growth in the city. We're on the cusp of far more growth, and this demonstration, this presentation tonight, I think outlines that the police force is ready for that growth. And I love to see what we're doing with the SRO program, the drone program. It makes me feel like we're ready for the growth that's going to happen in the area. So the whole department's to be commended for that. Thank you. I hope we can have more presentations like this in the future too.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe we'll do one group at a time next time. Go into a deeper level of detail for each focus area.
Can I share a really quick story about the SRO program? Over the holidays, my daughter's softball team, for their Christmas party, they made Christmas cookies and went Christmas caroling with to the police department and the fire department. And when we got to the police department, it was late at night, so there wasn't any admin staff there. And so I didn't know what to do. So I called Justin and was like, hey, is there any police officers here? And he was like, yes, of course. And he got them out. And when we left, the girl said, did you call Officer Whiteside? Like I called Taylor Swift. I mean, they were like, and then they fought. They got into a fight because they were arguing over, he's my best friend. No, he's my best friend. And these are like 12-year-old girl. I mean, it was just so sweet. They were just like in awe that I had Justin Whiteside's phone number. So, and anyone who goes to a football game or a basketball game or a track meet, you can see his relationship with the kids, and it's constant high fives and fist bumps, and it's just such a good representation of the police and our kids. And thank you.
In all seriousness, I echo everything you said, but I don't know if you know how bad Whiteside is going to get razzed for what you just said.
Sorry, Justin. It's all good to
That's
see
a great
you.
time.
It's all good.
Already told me to shake it off.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to commend the whole force for just your professionalism, your engagement, your accessibility. Being a lifelong resident of Sunbury, to see the department grow into what you are today is just very impressive. And I'm proud to be on council and support the police department. Anything you need to make your job safer and more successful. You know, our community only grows if people feel safe and trust the police department. You guys certainly do exude that. So thank you for putting your lives at risk every single day to make sure our lives are safer. So thank you.
You guys rock.
Agreed, 100%.
Team, I wanted to say one thing. One thing we don't talk a lot about is the tenure on the force. I remember when I first became mayor, even a little bit before that. I mean, we were having turnover. I mean, here and there, but I can tell you, like over the past few years, we've had like no turnover, and that is excellent. And we want to continue to invest in you. We think the world of your department. You're a team. You know, we know you have collective bargaining, and we have another agreement coming up. But I do look at everybody on our force as part of the team, a critical part of the team. And I think you have great leadership. Really proud of it. And we've even had officers that have left and come back, right? So, I mean, I think that's a testament to the culture that you drive literally within your department, especially at the front line. So thank you very much.
I would just like to close, Mayor, with thanking PC Wade for putting this together. When he first kind of approached me with this, I was like, I don't know, you're gonna get these guys to really want to book their targets. But every one of those guys out there, when he asked, they accepted it and did this, and I just want to thank them for that. I think we did a good job of putting stuff together, getting it to you guys, and it's not something they do every day, but thanks.
I agree.
I love the fact that when I'm driving down the street, I see one of our police cars, I feel a sense of comfort in knowing that they're there. Thank you.
Same.
Now you're gonna want to Taylor.
Hey, Bryn, you said at the Charter Commission meeting about when we used to have 2 police officers and 1 shift. How long ago was that?
Well, we used to have, I don't know how long ago that was. That's been a ways back. That was probably more when I was a kid. But I think in 98 when I started, we didn't have 2 officers on a shift until, I think the first time that happened was when, for the short period, we had the agreement with Galena. Because Chief Bennett at that time said, you know, it's only so much money, but it allows me to get the 1 more officer and we can have 2 people on a shift. It makes me nervous having 1 officer out there by themselves. So we've come a long way. But that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not that long ago.
Mhm.
I mean, perspective, it's amazing how far we've come.
Unfortunately, me being a kid was actually pretty long ago.
Thank you very much. All right, we're on to the administrator report. Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, just quickly, it's time for people to recap the successes that they've had, the state of the city address, February 20th. Again, this is a special meeting of council, so we will need a quorum of council members there. If you're not going to be able to attend, please let me know just to make sure we don't run into any issues on that front. And then the Morpsey State of the Region address is scheduled for March 21st. The State of the County address is scheduled for April 29th. If any council members are interested in attending either of those other two events, let me know and the city staff will get you registered. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hennessy. Senator Brodsky.
I just wanted to share some information about public outreach. I had mentioned at the last council meeting that the East Granville Street widening project would have some frequently asked questions and letters going out, letting residents and homeowners along the corridor that will have construction know that oops markings will be done. So paint in the streets, flags, and surveyors will be out to collect information. Those letters should go out tomorrow. They'll be mailed by the design consultant, American Structure Point. The letter comes from me and has my email, phone number. So if there are questions, please feel free to direct people my way. We do have a web page on the website now dedicated for this project. We will be attaching the frequently asked questions, notices, and updated information. That way, for any residents that do not get a letter at this time, if there are questions, that would be a great place to send people for that initial information, or they can reach out and we're happy to send them additional information or talk to them. In the same spirit of public outreach for the Walnut Street stabilization, that is a new item I've added for upcoming major construction, because we are starting to talk about that project being under construction. The contractor Iron Site is planning on starting in March. We do not have an exact date yet. So when my reports, I can share a little bit more detail about scheduling. We do know that they will start in March because they have a requirement to remove trees as part of that endangered bat species deadline of March 31st. So once we have everything else, we'll be sharing that, but also reaching out to the residents along the street to let them know what to expect with construction and request that they remove some of the items from the closed street that will be under construction. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is resolutions, third reading, resolution number 2025.02. A resolution establishing a joint recreation district pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 755.14C and appointing trustees contingent upon the approval of the Village of Galena and Berkshire Township. I did the reading. Do we need a motion and all that before we discuss? I think we have a minor amendment to discuss.
We do. So a motion to get it on the table. Is that what you're saying? Yes.
I think it's on the table. It just had the third reading. Are you going to put it on the table?
No. I'm sorry.
No, we're not.
He wants to, we need to add some, we need to identify the trustees.
Okay.
So
go ahead and state what you want to add.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody can make a motion.
I'll go ahead and do it. As far as the trustees, I'd like to make a recommendation for Jody Greiger to fill the 1-year term from Sunbury and Mr. Bernie Cooey to serve the 2-year term for the city of Sunbury. With that, I do have a question. Mr. Hennessy, we had discussed in the exploratory committee about the terms ending at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to amend any of this language and line up with Berkshire and Galena to do that? Or do these terms effectively go into place once we pass the resolution?
yeah, so I think the way that it's drafted as a 2-year or 1 year. So it would be, I guess, effective from the date of the appointment. I mean, maybe if you want to designate that the appointment is through the end of whatever the calendar year is, we can work with the rest of with the other partners to get that aligned on their side as well.
Do we know where the others are
Yes.
on
We do. So,
passage?
Berkshire Township is going to take up, their reading, I think, next week. They're going to do a single reading on theirs. And the Village of Galena started their readings last month. And I think, yeah, they'll do 2 readings. They'll have their second reading here later in February. So we do anticipate all of the all jurisdictions will have acted before the end of the month.
Spoke to Mayor Cannell this morning. They're passing, I think it's the last week of Galena, or last week of February. Wow. And Berkshire is passing next week. So at this point, I remember discussing this just so we didn't get out of sync. Hypothetically, if we approve as is, and then Berkshire approves as is next week, and Galena approves as is the following week, we're gonna have these offset terms. Is that the way it's working? I don't think that's the way we intended it.
Yeah, it's probably not the way operationally we would want it to work. Yeah, I think we want terms, the 1 and the 2 and the 3-year terms ending at the same time. I know we do have rules. We can look into the rules and see if that's something that gets adopted by the trustees and then comes back to us in terms of the appointments to maybe line them up a little more.
If I make
When you
a,
make the motion, can't you just establish an effective date when you make the motion? Say, I make this motion that on such and such a date, so and so becomes a representative. And then have everybody wrap the date together.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think we should just put an end date for Jody Greiger to be December 31st, 2025, and Bernie Cooey, December 31st, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we'll work with the other jurisdictions to get that lined up.
All right, I make that motion.
Bernie through.
Second.
So it's a motion to add that language to section 5.
Yes.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, second reading resolution 20.
You've added the language. Do you want to pass it tonight? I think we just moved to add that language
Okay.
to section 5. You've had your 3 readings. You want to go ahead and vote it tonight?
Of course I do. Yes, sir. I'm gonna make a motion on resolution number 2025.02.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, second reading resolution 2025.04, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into an intergovernmental agreement in relation to the joint recreation district. And just one other item, when I was speaking with the mayor earlier today from Galena, he mentioned that their legal counsel will be syncing up, I believe, with our legal counsel and perhaps the prosecutor's office, just to make sure that we've got good language in this agreement that caps, it puts a cap on our overall risk in terms of if the JRD, goes out and wants to do something, there have to be necessary authorizations from each one of our entities. Okay. All right, the second reading. First reading, resolution number 2025.05, a resolution approving engineering services with Verdantis LLC relating to J.R. Smith Park improvements. We're not going out to bid for engineering services. That's correct. We're just entering into Verdantis.
And not for this one. I mean, because we had gone to we've been working pretty closely with the Verdantis team on this. I mean, they've done all the preliminary surveying and geotechnical work, so they're well on their way, I think, to being well positioned to do this efficiently.
Okay. Are they going to wait until we pass this to start working on it, understanding that they're the only person doing it? They aren't going to stop, are they?
Well, I mean, we haven't engaged them in detailed engineering yet, if that's the question. Again, they're wrapping up survey, they're wrapping up geotechnical, so they've got a little bit of work they're still doing, but the contract basically says that once it's been signed, They will complete the design work in 5 months. So I think we figured if council acts on this at the third reading in March, we should have the plans ready in August, ready to be bid, selecting a contractor before the end of the year, construction next year.
Thank you. All right, ordinances, no third reading, no second reading. We have a first reading, an ordinance approving the application of NPA Commercial Property LLC, Local Provision LLC to amend the development plan and certain development standards for the planned commercial district, PCD, site located at the corner of Sunbury Meadows Drive and West Granville Street. If somebody can reach out to Mr. Donnell and have him attend one of these meetings, that'd be good. It was my first tonight. The applicant didn't come to the public hearing. We still held the public hearing. No public comment. And still got it done. Good deal. All right, next item, we're on to new and unfinished business. Ms. Dreyer?
No, I did mention in our services meeting is in front of BWE around 3 o'clock during the day. There's a line of traffic both ways for cars waiting to pull into the school to pick up their kids. And it causes people that are in line, not waiting to pick up their kids, to dodge all these cars to get around to continue on their way. And I think it's kind of dangerous.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that.
I wonder if that has to do with the bus reduction.
It just,
Like they
it's
changed
people
the
lined
bus
up
route.
waiting to pick up their kids. Yeah.
3.
Oh, yeah, I understand that, but you wouldn't think that would happen since they took an entire grade out of every elementary school. And then you still have that problem, but they also reduced busing.
Oh, yeah.
They expanded the range where kids don't have buses.
Yeah.
The majority of the kids in that school are coming from communities at Sunbury on the other side of the old tracks. I think that's worthwhile bringing up with the administration. We brought up Big Walnut Intermediate School last year, and they basically transformed the way that traffic flows, and it's significantly better. So, Chief and Mr. Hennessy, do you mind reaching out to Ryan McLean and just mentioning it's a safety issue?
We talked a little bit about it. We'll definitely get out there to do some observation, and then we'll reach out to the school.
Great. Thank you. Call out, Ms. Dreyer. Thanks.
I do know.
Mr. Rumney, Mr. Capel.
Nothing here.
Ms. Cooper, Mr. Martin, Mr. Ghost. No, sir. All right, we do have the state of the city in 2 weeks from tomorrow. Really excited about it. I'm really excited to highlight all of your great accomplishments. I'm neck deep in this right now. Information is flowing between staff and myself and the police. So thank you for all the work. I can't wait to tell your story. You live in a great place, and I want to highlight it again. So we'll see you there. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second by Ms. Dreyer. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
7 yeas.